So I did an anti-right wing stream last time, so I thought it'd only be fair that I do an anti-left wing stream this time. What's up, everybody? It is Zach, the Dark Conservatarian, here with an episode of Strike Force. Not news, but a response stream to, as the title shows it, the progressive voice. Now, before I go any further, I guess to clarify, the last live stream that I did was not technically really an anti-right wing stream. I mean, unless if you consider like any criticism at all towards Kyle Rittenhouse to be anti-right wing in any way at all, maybe, I guess, fair. But the specific criticism that I had against him, if you did not watch that stream yourself, it wasn't about anything about the subject that seems to unite the right. And no, that is not a pun to neo-Nazis in Charlottesville. The one thing that unites the right around Kyle Rittenhouse, that being his self-defense case, which even that shouldn't really be a political situation right there. But I'm talking about the even less politicized issue, or at least should be politicized issue, that being the issue of the fact that he kind of drags his family's names through the mud in his book. That was the main criticism on that last live stream. But this live stream, I am here to respond, to do a good old staple of mine before I went on long hiatus, that being a response to Sahil Habibi, the progressive voice. Normally I do those in edit to response videos, but I also have did them in live streams as well, because I find it to be relatively low hanging fruit. Although this will probably be the last time to respond to him for a long while, if not ever, because it seems that the guy has not uploaded in 3 months now. Actually, now I am curious. I just want to double check on that. That I am still correct, that he has not gotten out of hiatus since the last few days that I last checked him out. Videos. Yeah, it has been 3 months since he has last uploaded anything. So yeah, there's that. It just played in my ear as I pulled back up the video. But anyway, yeah. So Oliver Anthony. Oh, looky here. Got an old friend with us in the live chat. S-Man Speaks. You look like that one TikTok guy doing an IKEA. Well, I am a big-time poser after all. Isn't that right, S-Man? And hello, Night Shift in the live chat. But without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Now, y'all remember Richmond, north of Richmond song, a kind of a folksy / country song. It was kind of the second rallying cry of the right, that being after Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town, although, for the record, a far superior song to that of Try That in a Small Town. And, yeah, it's just really bad. I don't mind the overall morals of that song, quite honestly, except for the one line about that he mentions about police, and that overall, morally speaking, it was a fair song, but the music beat of it was just at first I thought it was meh, but it really got old for me as time went on, and that song just got played more and more, repeat on repeat, over the last few weeks or months, even over the radio. It just got real old. Although my boss's radio station has not been playing that song at all as of recently, so maybe the vibe has finally worn off. But regardless, Richmond, north of Richmond, better song with as good, actually slightly better morals, via what the lyrics go talking about, at least anyways, and also a better beat too, a better original beat. Seriously, the background music for Try That in a Small Town, the background music for it just sounds way too similar to other country songs. It's just way too cookie cutter. It's just ridiculous, rather. Man, I'm obsessing over that song too much. I mean, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Richmond, north of Richmond. So that became the new rallying cry of the right, and really probably populism overall. in a more successful way, then try that in a small town for that matter, because Richmond of North Richmond got played during the first presidential debate. Republican primary presidential debate, more specifically. It did not get played after that. And why is that? Why haven't we even heard about Oliver Anthony as of recently? Well, we'll kind of get into that within due time. But for right now, we're here to talk about Sahil, as I checked out both of his videos talking about this. And yes, I know that this is an old subject, but it is only within the last 3 weeks to a month that I had first watched these videos from Sahil. And there is one issue in particular that just really bugged me, that really left him quite open, which I thought was a very good springboard to go talking about a subject that I can personally attest to. In response to Sahil, and just people in general of the same mindset as Sahil. But let's be honest, even though that Sahil is not currently active on his YouTube channel, despite that, it cannot be denied that there are lots of leftists who still share the same attitude as Sahil in one of the areas that I am going to be talking about. I'm just going to say right now, he kind of bashes a little bit on blue-collar workers, as the description of my live stream here says anyways, more specifically coal miners. And so I just wanted to respond to that part largely, but also fair other parts that he mentioned throughout both of these videos. But anyway, let me do one last read up on the chat, then we'll start this. Progressive Voice probably stopped uploading videos and hit the gym, hopefully. We can only hope, S-Man. For his own sake, at least, anyways. Hey, Darkon, Merry Christmas, says Cobra Commander commentaries. Hey there. I can only guess that Cobra Commander is Conundrum. What's up there? S-Man says, I bet Darkon's favorite song is New Truck. Okay. Natshift 10,000 says, the story of Belle Delphine is a story of sadness and woe. Oh, you're talking about, damn. Yep, the thumbnail for Belle Delphine is right there on the side there. You know what? I'm just going to, maximize this just to, damn it. Is this page, freezing up on me, or is my computer just lagging right now? I don't know what's going on.
Song that has gone.
Okay. Catch up just a little bit more. Just to size that up so that Belle Delphine's face wasn't such a distraction right there to Night Shift. Get a room, Night Shift, if you really want to think about her so much. He also says, Darkon, the official theme song for Libertarians and ANCAPs was written by Ubisoft. It's called Keep Your Rifle by Your Side. Oh, really? I've heard of the song Keep Your Rifle by Your Side, but I thought that was a song that went further back in time than the computer game development company. Cobra Commander says, progressive voice of a regressive mind. S-Man says the progressive voice is the leftist version of Vivek Ramaswamy. That's not fair to Vivek. Vivek Ramaswamy is a whole lot sharper than PV. Damn. Cobra Commander says, yeah, rebranded to action figure reviews. Cool. Nachiff says, nah, she's pure evil. All right. Yep, stay away from evil, I guess. It's a song from Far Cry 5. Okay. I would have just as easily guessed Fallout, but anyway, let's get on with it.
Absolutely viral. It's called Richmond, North of Richmond. It's by this guy named Oliver Anthony, and it appears that country music is making some kind of a rebound, but it seems kind of political.
I mean, did it ever really slump that badly? I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan to country music. I mean, I've only just recently, within the last year, got more into it. I love Luke Combs. So far, I cannot say that there's a single bad song that I have heard of Luke Combs, nor Chris Stapleton, for that matter. There's a few other songs that I go hearing on my boss's favorite radio station, country radio station, that are also nice as well. I don't remember all the artists and so forth, but even though that some of them do get a little bit overly played, and that's not to mention Tim McGraw, "Don't Take the Girl." Don't take the girl. Oh, beautiful song. Um, More beautiful than my singing can put justice to. Um, and so on and so forth. But I don't know. Comment in the live chat or in the comment section down below. What do you think? Has there ever been like that great of a fall of country?
Morgan Wallen is absolutely huge, but I don't think he's sort of very like political in terms of his artistry. I believe I'm not 100% sure though. I know he's buddies with Lil Durk. But Jason Aldean had that super controversial song. Tried that in a small town thing, and it was like number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, which is a huge hit. And
Yeah, he actually mentions it. I probably should have saved my commentary about Jason Aldean's trash song up to this moment. But yeah, it's bad. I mean, lyrically, it's fine. It's just a bad music. And man, Jason Aldean, he really needs to practice his singing more. Like, oh god, sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk. It's like if I hear that very same lyrical opening one more time in my life, it will be too soon. Damn. Yeah, no, I get the moral of the song. Riots probably would not get be as widespread or rioters, excuse me, rioters and looters probably would not be able to get away with as much shit as they do in a more rural area, but still.
so this song just goes absolutely viral everywhere, and so it's super interesting because this is supposed to be like a populist anthem. It's supposed to be rugged, raggedy, unique, like genuine to the heart. That's what it's supposed to be, but it appears that
More genuine than some baby-faced guy living in his mom's basement through talking through a camera screen, making videos all the time. Oh wait, sorry, was I talking about you, Sahil? My bad, my bad. And by the way, for the record, people, I do not live with my mom. I am moved out, been moved out for years. Now I am rooming with a couple of my siblings, though.
that's not the case. Now, to set the stage for this, it appears that
That's not the case. I think he's talking in reference to the background of not Jason Aldean. God, we're mixing up Jason Aldean and Oliver Anthony with each other now. Face palm. I think he's referencing the background of Oliver Anthony, or at least what he alleges to be the true background of Oliver Anthony. Yada yada. But anyway, he'll get more into that a little bit later, and by the time we get there, I'll put my full thoughts forth.
this has been an absolute viral sensation amongst conservatives. So, one of the examples.
Primarily conservatives, sure, but really, is the song? I mean, okay, try that in a small town. Obviously, was more geared towards conservatives, like the whole "cuss out a cop" line in that song. Yeah, obviously geared towards conservatives. Richmond, north of Richmond, does it really have that much stuff that is geared towards conservatives specifically? I mean, I guess if the I guess if it is an inherent part of leftist belief to be hating on coal miners, to be actually actively wishing that they lose their jobs, then sure, this is a song for conservatives. But aside from that, even though that might be how things are ending up, that doesn't mean that should be that way. A song specifically for conservatives. Actually, it's kind of funny that he says that. He says on one hand it is a populist theme song, but on the other he says that this song is more geared towards conservatives, or that's not the exact wording that he uses, but still, it's like, is it for conservatives or is it for populists, Sahil? Because those two aren't really the same thing. They can have some overlap, but they aren't the same. And I think he would agree too. By the way. Damn, thought I pressed play.
Of like a conservative tweet about this was a tweet from Carrie Lake. She says, I can't listen to Oliver Anthony's Richmond north of Richmond.
No, I get the sentiment, but when I listen to this song, it does not give me chills that much. There are other songs that like have honestly touched me more emotionally than this song, especially with recent drama and chapters of my life recently.
Thank you for writing the anthem of this moment in American history. So it's kind of like it's supposed to be this kind of thing where it's like representing the sort of old town America guy or whatever, like the steel worker and that kind of thing. Um, the song in terms of the singing and stuff and the guitaring, I didn't think was actually bad. He just had these cringe lyrics in them, and then there was just this kind of
Cringe, quote unquote. Here comes the shit talking from Progressive Voice.
general ethos of sort of cringy victimization of these sort of workers that I find to be personally kind of cringe. But he says,
Victimism of these kinds of workers. Okay, well, if you have politicians that are actively making laws that hurt your sector of the economy, well, is it really that illegitimate of a form of victim mentality, quote unquote? I mean, if the government is like actively going after you, I think that there is some bit of a victim mentality that is, quite frankly, earned in some sort of way. Of course, he goes mentioning the issue of a race in comparison to like coal miners later. We'll cross that bridge when we actually come to it.
I wish politicians would look out for miners, as in coal miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere, talking about, I think, the Epstein Island, which I think is a clever play on words there, I'll say. And he says, Lord, we got folks in the street ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milk and welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. And so obviously this is honestly, if he hadn't included this part, I think he would have like it would have been almost impossible to even really criticize him for the song, because outside of this, honestly, like
Uh, Never mind. I'll just save my criticism for later.
kind of encapsulates like a populist message. Now, obviously, there's no like obese people milking welfare or whatever. That's just like cringe made up stuff, obviously.
Now, here's the thing, Sahil. Okay, did he say cringe nonsense or cringe bullshit? Let me pay extra attention. Damn it.
Obese people milking welfare or whatever. That's just like cringe made up stuff, obviously.
Cringe made up stuff. Well, it's not far from the truth, Sahil. Now, here's the thing. Okay, after he said that, I knew that he was like full of crap because of the work requirement taken out by Obama, put back in by Trump, sure. And there is like a little bit more of a complicated story behind like work requirements for welfare and all that kind of stuff. And all that research that I had done, I read from like all 5 of these articles that goes into that subject. And overall, it's a whole lot more complicated than I have like let off to believe it to be overall. But yeah, there are some cases of where that it goes all the way back to the 90s when Bill Clinton had made it a little bit more or maybe even a lot more convenient to just stay on welfare than to just actually pick you up by your bootstraps. Yes, I'm using right-wing terminology right there. Cringe all you want, leftists. And get off of welfare and actually go get yourself a job and just advance yourself overall in your life than just living a lowly life on purely just welfare. Like even this article right here that goes making an argument kind of against conservative narratives when it comes to welfare. Even it admits in one of the paragraphs here. Additionally, as Francis Coppola and I argue, the drop in labor force participation in recent years is explained by young people spending more years at school. Instead of starting work at 16 or 18, greater numbers of young people aren't starting work until after college, when they might be 22 or even 25 or 26 if they complete postgraduate studies. Now, that is too late, in my opinion. I started working ever since that I was 18? Yeah, 18. Dang, I was thinking of a different job for a second there. That's why I was a little bit hesitant right there. At 18, I took a job at a restaurant washing dishes. Before that, I was mowing lawns. I mean, every like a teenage boy does it, mowing lawns, cleaning out gutters, that kind of stuff, cleaning up litter out of old people's yards, that sort of stuff. But at 18, I got my first dishwashing job. I got my first full-time job when I was like 21, because the restaurant dishwashing job was ultimately a part-time job per according to what is part-time standard hours anyways. When I got a full-time standard hours a job at the age of 21, I went to school also full-time at that time, because honestly, I had ambitions to ultimately want to move out, and ultimately a little less than a year later I would, uh, with assistance from my sister moving out with me too at the same time. But still, we were both like full time working, and moved out of our parents' house. Why? Because we got to working. Yeah, there's a whole lot of personal experiences that I'm going to be putting forth as far as all this stuff goes. But ultimately, the point that I'm trying to make, sorry, I'm diverting from the point. The point being as to why that I point out this paragraph specifically is that this is a sign that welfare is just facilitating for people ultimately to be lazy. Like, yeah, the Oliver Anthony says that if you're fat, you should not be welfare should not be paying for your bags of fudge rounds. That is like an oversimplistic line. Like, it's a little bit too wordy for Oliver Anthony to be saying government should not be paying for your bags of fudge rounds while you are going through college trying to get your bachelor's in gender studies degrees or whatever, and not working until you're like 25 or 26. That's just like too wordy, and I don't even know how that you would fit that into rhyme in a song or whatever. Obviously the words would be different than what I just said right there. But regardless, it does happen. The work requirement taken out by Obama back during his tenure, and even the fights for it nowadays. I'd have to like look up again as to exactly what the fight is over that. But this is like the latest update right here. The Biden administration's new food stamp work requirement exemption is keeping able-bodied adults trapped in dependency. So it happens. It's not as overly simplistic as normie cons want to make it out to be. Like, I don't even think that it's generally speaking that generally most to all welfare recipients are just lazy and intentionally not working at all. But at the same time, I don't care. I don't even think Oliver Anthony cares. For all we all know, it could be as low as 10 or 20% of welfare recipients are just actively trying to avoid working and just being reliant on welfare and doing whatever dream side gig that they look to want to do, like, I don't know, selling their shitty AI art or whatever. or leading some kind of a shitty SoundCloud rapper career, or or being just a shitty podcaster or whatever else have you. But regardless, doing something like that. Where was I going with that? But the fact that they exist at all in such millions of numbers out there does not still. What am I trying to say? The fact that even if it is like a 10 to 20% of welfare recipients are actively lazy, even those, that minority of people should not be actively lazy, just living entirely off of welfare. That is just a waste of money entirely. Oliver Anthony in his song is not bashing all welfare recipients, although there was, in my cursory research, I just passed by this one article, did not read it fully, but still, it was an article of where that there was a leftist just bitching, moaning, and complaining about Oliver Anthony's song, about how that oh, how insensitive of Oliver Anthony. He is bashing on those of us who ended up having to live off of fudge rounds on welfare. Yeah, I'm sounding like. Damn, I'm sounding like Ren McCus right now with my impersonation right there of a soy tart leftist. Um, but anyway, um, I got the notification for Steam right there. That was a bit distracting. Um, and it just bitching about Oliver Anthony, going on about how some of us had to survive off of fudge rounds and other sorts of hyper unhealthy foods that you could just buy in bulk by the dozen very cheaply, and just saying that was the only thing that we could survive off of. But really, putting the sensitivity aside, that statement, that kind of stuff is bullshit anyways, because not just that unhealthy stuff is cheap. Fudge rounds and other cheap shit like that is cheap and you can buy by the many. Well, guess what? So is beans and rice and ramen and baby carrots too, if you really want a vegetable. You can still eat cheaply and relatively healthy at the same time and not just be relying on like fudge rounds or whatever. There's my little rant towards people, the mentality of that one blog poster that responded to Oliver Anthony. And that is kind of one of the arguments here as well that is put forth by one of these articles. Like three of these articles that I read are solidly on the left, as they are like criticizing efforts by politicians of the past to take away to put in work requirements for welfare, or saying that the conservative narrative is overly simplistic or whatever. They go saying that some of the part of the reasoning as to why that some people end up living on welfare is because of the fact that it's cheaper to live on welfare than to work. I mean, obviously, conservatives never denied that, but that doesn't mean that, for one, that does not mean that, for one, that is even more reasoning as to why that we should put in welfare reform, so as to make it not as cheap and easy to just, and preferable too, to just rely on welfare. And even just because that welfare might be a bit or even considerably more easier than working, doesn't mean that you can't, like, I don't know, in the meantime of having to take some welfare, you can like learn a trade or whatever, or something else that will pay you more than just a simple cashier job or something like that. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. In response to some of the logic presented by some of the leftists there. But anyway, I need to read some of the live chat here. Mr. Who 616. I got 3 live chats from this guy and messages were retracted. Huh. Don't know why you retracted them, but I would have read them. I don't read all live chats, but I read live chats within reason, at least, anyways, when I get the time. Night Shift 10,000, I'm not joking. I was going to do a Wattpad story like Stephen King's The Stand, where Belle Delphine was like Randall Flagg and Pokimane was like Mother Abigail, and they are both building armies. That song goes way back. Oh, the Keep Your Rifle by Your Side. Okay. I mean, that's what I thought. Nate Smith's song Dear Heart really speaks to me. I know what he's been through. Okay. I love living on my own. Yeah, I did too. I was for a while rooming on my own, but to sort of help out my siblings to sooner move out and be more self-dependent adults, or at least not reliant on our parents specifically as far as a place to live anyways, I decided to like move into a new home with them. Thus why that background looks a little bit different as compared to my videos in 2021. Phantom Lord DJH07 says nothing is like living on your own in the People's Republic of California. Yeah, how much do you have to make in order to like be above water out there? Tell us. Shrapnel says I was 16 the first time I had a job on the books. Yeah, good for you, Shrapnel. And what? I guess he might be saying "and" in response to people of the mentality that I was responding to. Okay, but I can like somewhat I can somewhat give some leeway to Sahil in that some normie cons end up kind of oversimplifying the talking point of welfare recipients. Like it ain't maybe anyways. That is if there are some normie conservatives out there that are saying that generally welfare recipients are just a bunch of lazy bums. I'm sure that it's not a majority, much less a super majority. It's probably not even that big of a minority or plurality of welfare recipients that are actively trying to stay lazy. But the fact that there would be a considerable amount of them at all, anyways, is just not helping. Anyway, I talked for too long. Let's let Sahil talk for a moment.
Um, but it's like this general kind of cringy victimization of these miners or whatever. Like these kinds of miner jobs, these mining jobs, are jobs that destroy the environment, emit massive amounts of carbon into the environment, and then even when offered like
Destroying the environment. The question is, are they digging it underground and into a mine in the side of a mountain? Or are they like gouging out entire plains and forests like they do sometimes in China? Like, I'm just like posing that question for the sake of conversation more than anything. I should probably like look more into like the actual effects overall of coal mining and stuff like that. I mean, here's the thing, Sahil. The mining jobs, just in general, even if I was to believe that coal should be banned, our need for copper is not going away anytime soon, and even our need for uranium to like bring forth a nuclear power so that we can be less reliant on coal power and other lithium mining for batteries. I mean, you want to talk about trying to go green, progressive voice. You need lithium in order to have that quote unquote green energy storage and resource, that being like batteries and recharging for it. Actually, isn't lithium even needed for the production of solar panels? I don't know. I don't know the super specifics. It's probably something more to look into. And even with some of these products, you need to like drill for the oil for the plastics. Although I guess there are like alternative sources for plastics other than just crude oil. But regardless, we're not getting rid of mining at all anytime soon. So this blanket statement that you are like criticizing mining jobs and miners is just like get off of it, Sahil. Go ahead and walk away with your pipe dream, but that pipe dream is not coming true anytime soon. Unless you want to like literally take us back to the Stone Age, or we take our own selves back to the Stone Age via a nuclear apocalyptic war.
this kind of reach job training, they don't want to do it, and it's to the
They shouldn't have to do re-job training because politicians are putting forth legislation to actively cripple their jobs, dude.
point where it's like the nature of the job market for everybody.
You know what should actually happen is that those politicians should not be putting forth legislation that actively cripples their job. I'm going to rewind this a bit.
It's to the point where it's like the nature of the job market for everybody is adapt or die. That's what it is. You have to adapt to whatever it is, whatever the demand is, you meet the supply for that, right? But for some reason, like these white people who are, steel workers or whatever, they're just exempt from that. But if you're anybody else, any other minority, any other
Wait. He said steel workers. Okay. Either we make our steel here, Sahil, or we make our steel, or they in China make our steel and we import it. I mean, I don't think that Sahil is trying to imply the idea of banning steel production, but so I can only like come to the conclusion that is Sahil trying to make apologetics for the idea that we do rely on foreign nations for our steel production? That's why, Sahil. That's literally like killing jobs for like no real good reason. I mean, yeah, sure. If companies want to ship their jobs overseas, I mean, I'm a free market capitalist. People should be able to move their plants to wherever they want. Um, Debates on China and whatever foreign or international enemies that we have, debates aside, just generally speaking, I believe that companies should be able to set up their plants wherever they want to. If somebody wants to set up a shop down in Mexico to produce some steel or something like that, and then ship it across the border on trucks or whatever to be sold here in the States, that's fine as well. Might even be more ethical than relying on Chinese labor for that matter. But what is up with this criticism right here? You know what? In fact, I think I need to listen to that again to get a good jotting down of what bullshit he's saying.
The job market for everybody is adapt or die. That's what it is. You have to adapt to whatever it is, whatever the demand is, you meet the supply for that, right?
Okay. I will say to a certain degree that if it's because of market forces that you are part of a sector of the economy that is just going out of date, like how that we have the fracking boom right now, that's part of the reason as to why that coal is dying off. I mean, I would have to I really should look more into this, but as I know right now, is because of Obama's attacks on coal is the only reason why we have fracking now. Because the economy actively had to adapt around the regulations and all that other stuff that Obama did to coal back during his tenure. Um, what he did for or against fracking specifically, it's a little bit murky to me. There are some people that claim that he was actually pro fracking, but I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical. But regardless, that would be an idea of okay. The fact that the government came in and actively crippled the coal sector of the economy, and that is why that fracking came about, and why the economy adapted. I mean, it's a good thing that the economy adapted. I mean, otherwise, gas and electricity would be more expensive than it is right now. But regardless, it should not have to adapt because of reasons like that specifically. Um, what is a way that people should adapt to the economy better is if, for example, that was it a Boeing plant? I'm not so sure. There was some aircraft company that moved a plant out of Wichita a few years ago, and people should adapt to the times. Honestly, to put forth my own anecdote, I don't know how much TMI this gets, but my dad did not adapt to the economy as much as he should have when that happened. I mean, once that plant moved out of Wichita, a lot of people made less money. They could not afford home remodels or afford small self-employed business people like my dad in order to have people like my dad to remodel their homes. And so my dad wasn't able to find as much work, and ultimately he did not adapt for many years to come. So there are some cases. Okay, that might actually to the origin as to why that airplane plant moved out. I'm not so sure. But if it's because of free market forces of why that a sector of the economy is becoming, let's say, Blockbuster. Yeah, Blockbuster. Blockbuster is completely outmoded. It is an outdated business. Went out of business. There was another word that I'm trying to figure out if that I'm trying to say, but I just cannot think of what the word is. But regardless, you guys get my point. And in that case, that was totally free market. Around came Netflix with their originally they were a service that mailed you disc DVDs for you to rent instead of you having to actively go to a store in person to rent out a DVD or a VHS tape or otherwise. And then Netflix became a streaming service. Like in the case of Blockbuster, yeah, it was adapt or die. I do not agree with the idea of, excuse me, if I was my own age right now, back then when Blockbuster was dying out, I would not be advocating that Blockbuster got a whole bunch of subsidies or government bailouts or whatever to stay in business. I just say, sorry, Blockbuster. You either like create your own streaming service or just die off. And I think that's pretty much what happened. They have, I believe they only have like one store in the entire country now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But regardless, when it comes to, if it's because of free market forces, then yeah, adapt or die. I agree on that part. But if it's because of government, why that business is going out of business, well, no. Those people, I think that there is more of a case to pity those workers who ended up losing their job. It's because of active malicious actors who are like superseding on people's rights, not the workers' rights specifically, because it's not like that they were putting forth legislation. Oh, you're banned from working this job. No, if anything, they did something to the business owner to cripple them in their business pursuits. So therefore, they had to make cutbacks, layoffs, etc. And that just had an indirect effect. But regardless, I think there is a bit of pity towards those types of people. Anyway, really being too long on these response points.
But for some reason, like these white people who are, steel workers or whatever, they're just exempt from that. But if you're anybody else, any other minority, any other group of people, you just have to fall in line. But these
Um, 1 second.
is
I'm not going to pause as long at this rewinding.
adapt or die. That's what it is. You have to adapt to whatever it is, whatever the demand is, you meet the supply for that, right? But for some reason, like these white people who are, steel workers or whatever, they're just exempt from that. But if you're any
It was just steel workers. Quite frankly, actually, I do not know of what the origin is to why that the steel industry decided to like move overseas. I can only, it's not as easy to say. It's not as easy to pin on the minimum wage. I don't think, because I cannot imagine like somebody working a steel working job right next to all that heat and them foundries and all that other equipment to try and pour molten steel into a mold and shape it to whatever appropriate piece of steel that you need to sell off. I can't imagine that kind of a job being low paying. So I cannot imagine it being purely just minimum wage laws as to why that some plant decided, oh, I'm gonna move to China now, where the cheap labor is aplenty. So I'd have to look more into that. But if it is because of like a government intervention as to why that happened, then shame.
steel workers or whatever, they're just exempt from that. But if you're anybody else, any other minority, any other group of people, you just have to fall in line. But these guys, the poor
He's trying to draw an equivalence between systemic racism debate and economic oppression debate. I mean, put it long and short, completely not equivalent, not the same beast. But my longer explanation would be modern day, there are no laws that are actively going against minorities. Now, a lot of leftists might actually hear that and go thinking that, try going to say, I don't know, but the intent behind it, this XYZ law so many years ago, or what am I trying to say? They have like there is a certain way that they word it that I cannot remember right now myself. I'm drawing a blank. I'm gonna like look at the now do EV batteries, says Shrapnel. Okay, I was looking at the live chat for a second there. And that's all that there was from live chat. I guess I don't have a very active live chat today. I don't know. The difference is that nowadays there are no active laws against minorities. Now, if progressive voices are trying to imply the reparations debate, um, to try and draw an equivalence between minorities and systemic racism versus economic oppression. Well, here's the thing. For one thing, there are plenty of minorities that work as steel workers and coal miners, and it might not be like a majority in these sectors that it is like a minority or darker skinned people that are working them as compared to white people. But regardless, there's for one, nothing against a minority working these industrial jobs, and two, probably is well the case, and they would fall under there, but they would end up losing their jobs because of XYZ regulation, because of a steel plant moving overseas or whatever, and therefore they would fall under Oliver Anthony's pity as well, and everyone else's pity for coal miners, because that black person, that brown person, they were formerly a coal miner themselves, naturally. When it comes to like police brutality, though, I don't know. It's a little bit more of a case by case basis. There are some that we can like agree upon that they were victimized, and there are some that people like debate that no, this is like a justifiable case, like Jacob Blake shooting or whatever else have you. And then there's what's the name? I think it's Philando Castile. The Philando Castile shooting that was totally not justified. I don't know. There's a better way. There's a better way for me to say all that in response to progressive voice and to explain how these are not equivalent. But I think the best way that I can say it is that there is no laws on the book actively going against minorities. Systemic racism is not a thing. But economic oppression in the way of these politicians putting forth laws and legislation that actively works to cripple these sectors of the economy, coal mining or otherwise, it does exist. And it does end up hurting these people's jobs in an active, malicious way.
Or victims who just can't seem to adhere to the very capitalism that they're talking about. To me, that's very cringe and heavily
Adhere to the capitalism they're talking about, except regulations against the sector economy is not capitalism. In some ways, it might be communism. In other ways, it's just like, I don't know what, plain out nanny government or just authoritarianism in general. Corporatism in some cases, if it's a regulation is being put forth to hurt one economy and intentionally to try and boost up another sector of the economy, to try and rig the economic game for one company over another.
racist in terms of if it were black people, you would never say that about black people. Black people would never be in a situation where it's like, oh, the poor black people who have to switch jobs or whatever. It's always going to be, oh, they're bad, whatever.
Except that is wrong, Sahil. I mean, what sector of the economy do you have even to cite as like a tangible example of that? Oh, give us the example, Sahil. Is there an actual tangible example of a sector of the economy that it has politicians going against it and is like majority black people? I mean, I almost want to like mention one, but it end up being kind of spicy, kind of racist almost. I mean, if anybody wants to like put forth like, I don't know, I'm just gonna say it, drug dealing or something. I mean, that's kind of a bullshit right there. I don't even know if it's like a majority one race or a majority another. I better just stop while I'm ahead. But okay. So putting that aside though, still, what is the tangible example of any sector of the economy that is majority black or majority brown or anything else like that is minority white person, and the government is like putting forth laws to actively cripple that sector of the economy? What's the example, Sahil? Otherwise, you don't have anything to back up that assertion. You're just plain full of shit. You're just trying to like smear Oliver Anthony and other people that think like him just because you like to assume that the right are racist.
But it's like, oh, these poor miners, they have to adapt to whatever the economy says, and their jobs are horrible for the environment, and it's horrible for them. Lung cancer is horrific, horrible. To the point even where it's like, yo, we'll give you money to like retrain for another job. Like, no, no. It's like the level of righteousness, privilege, and just like superiority is insane.
Righteousness, okay. Being comfortable in their own. Oh, God. I can't even like. How do you even like respond to this assholishness right here? If you love your job and you don't want to move jobs, you don't want to move from what your passion is, especially when somebody else is like actively trying to shut you down and you're fighting against those shutdowns or whatever against your industry, you're just self-righteous. What a fucking asshole.
But anyways, so it appears that this guy is actually a plant. Now, it's unfortunately true that most of
It's actually a plant. Some mega uh he's got up a screen cap, or he's got Twitter up right now, or X, whatever. The Squirrel says, "Lol, some mega account just exposed the ginger bearded guy whining about welfare queens and high taxes as a conservative industry plant." Okay, welfare queens. So Oliver Anthony did not even use the term welfare queens in his song "Richmond North of Richmond," so that is a load of shit right there. He said fat people is what he said. High taxes is a conservative industry plant astroturfed into existence by all the Daily Wire freaks, and some right-wing social media promoter, Dan Bongino, then confirms it. It's getting a little bit harder to read these other screen caps that is cited here. Maybe Sahil like clicks them or something. But regardless, I'll get more into my response after this, or here in a bit.
the industry in terms of entertainment is just all plants anyways. I don't know if you guys know this, but even Elvis himself was a plant. Rock and roll was black music, and so the music industry was like, we need to cultivate this person who is going to, take this music, turn it white, and then make it like appealing to white people, right? And so there's a big difference between someone genuinely making content and then getting big organically.
I would say citation needed on that. Like, I know that it's probably safe to assume that Elvis Presley like ripped off black people as far as being a starter of rock and roll or rockabilly or whatever else have you. But the idea that he was like a plant by, say, someone else, that okay, to say that Elvis did not act completely all on his own and he was a plant by someone else, that is a heavy claim to make right there, and I need to see an actual source before I believe that. But I'm just gonna say it right now. The idea that he says that Oliver Anthony is a plant is absolute bullshit. Like, I got Short Fat Otaku's video right here, and it's linked down in the description box below if anyone wants to watch it themselves. But more going towards the end, he goes mentioning of how that Oliver Anthony, he did work multiple different types of blue collar and average wage working kind of jobs until he injured himself and became a salesman at a construction company. But I guess it's because that modern day, he is not a blue collar guy that is working with his hands. Modern day, he's working a fairly high paying desk job that therefore he does not get to represent blue collar working people. You know what? And you know what? That's quite frankly a bullshit way of looking at things. Like, if a person has the past of working a blue collar job, I think that they should be able to talk on the blue collar and just a working class, quote unquote, issues. Just because that they aren't currently one does not mean that they don't get to speak on those issues, for crying out loud. I mean, I guess in that case, that means that by the time that I become some big comic salesman, which is kind of my dream job actually is to be a comic and story writer. Once I become a professional comic and story writer, I apparently cannot talk about my experience personally as a blue collar welder and stuff like that. If I go talking about of how it is being a blue collar man or a welder, and then somebody finds out that I am actually a comic writer, it's like, oh, you can't speak on issues of ours. You aren't one of us. I literally was, though, you asshole.
Post their thing and then maybe someone picks it up because they liked it, they share it, and then train starts happening, snowball effect, or they build up from the ground up. Versus if like some corporation or some group is like, yo, I'm gonna put this guy out and we're all going to artificially boost this guy and then hopefully he takes off essentially. That
I also want to add that a short fat otaku also said that on top of, even though that nowadays Oliver Anthony is well off as a construction salesman, he owes debt on the land that he purchased. Again, watch SFO's video if you want the deets on that.
is what most of the entertainment industry is. Vast majority of it. Ben Shapiro is also a failed industry plant. You can read an article, just Google it about
Failed industry. You are using that word way too loosely. What do you mean failed industry plant? Are you talking about as far as him being a violinist goes? I mean, for one, I do not know it. Okay, I've only I don't I think I've only heard him play the violin 2 different times as far as video clips goes. That being the one when he was a kid, that famous one. And there was one of where that he was doing the soundtrack of Schindler's List as well. I mean, single violin pieces are not really my thing. What's the name of that one lady, modern day, who has a big time YouTube channel that plays the violin in this a rather overly modernist way? I can't remember her name, but that lady I was never really the biggest fan of. My sisters are more fans, but it's definitely good. But Ben Shapiro, I don't think he was ever like bad at his job. He might have just not really wanted the job of being a professional violinist. I mean, what do you mean failed plant? You definitely got to back some of your claims up, Progressive Voice. You're just full of it.
how his dad has like heavy Hollywood ties, and so they took him, groomed him for the position of being this debate god or whatever. He's also a failed Hollywood script writer as well. Um,
Now that I can believe a little bit more, though. Quite frankly, I mean, Ben Shapiro does not come off as the type of guy to make a professional and nuanced and thought-provoking story, or just an entertaining story in general, like for movies or otherwise.
but check this out. So these are just some tweets here.
I mean, I have not seen anything from the Daily Wire, any of the movies, not Lady Ballers or not quite on the Western Front. God, what's the name of that Gina Carano movie? I've not seen Run, Hide, Fight either, but I haven't seen any of those 3 movies. And you know what? I don't even know if those are like a co-produced or co-written by Ben Shapiro or whatever, but I don't know. Actually, I don't know what I'm talking about now, so I just better continue.
And so this is from a guy who's part of MAGA. He says, I didn't want to comment on all this because Oliver Anthony seems like a genuinely great guy, but Matt Walsh's sanctimonious word vomit forced my hand. There was nothing authentic about this song's rise to popularity. Jason Howardson seems to be the key player involved in the astroturfing campaign. He's the CEO of Reach Digital, which helps quote media companies and political
Astroturfing campaign. Like, are you talking about a person promoting another person's song? Are we really going to are we really going to use these like overly cringe like buzzwordy terms to try and demean these rather mild things that happen? Yeah, it's all kinds of bullshit.
influencers grow their social media footprint exponentially. Jason was one of the first accounts heavily promoting this song, as he provided a background on Oliver Anthony and his faith. Jason indicates that Oliver Anthony had been contacted to record the song. Jason also admits he even covered the cost to produce the record. So who wrote the song, and how did so many big right wing accounts have the video ready to post simultaneously?
You know, it's funny that this guy is like talking so badly about Oliver Anthony, and as you'll find out like later in the next video that we're going to be reacting to, he then completely flips his opinion on Oliver. Like all this stuff. Oliver writing his song. Did he even write it himself or whatever? It's like mm. and then yeah, I mean, it seems rather genuine that Oliver did write his own song, as we'll see in the next video, because Sahil plays a clip of Oliver commentating. Read up on the chat very quickly. S Man says Ben Shapiro is bland as fuck. Like talking about like movie and music wise, or what are we talking about in that regard? He's been down bad since 10-7. Yeah, I think that some of his takes have been like a bit over the top. Although I certainly prefer his takes over that of Hamas pikers takes.
You can like the song and like its message without gaslighting us into believing this is an authentic viral hit by a simple countryman with a mic and a guitar. Quote, launch a product, get over 1.3 million hits overnight was the article Mr. Howerton shared on LinkedIn. This was another Conservative Inc. AstroTurf campaign. Embrace it. And so this is also in response to this Matt Wall Street. You can see at the bottom here, he says, the main reason this song resonates with so many people isn't political. It's because the song is raw and authentic. We are suffocating.
Shapiro's style is bland as fuck. Oh, talking about. I'm guessing you're talking about his style and way of like talking about political subjects. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. I mean, there's some variances to the way that he talks about subjects as compared to the Rush Limbaughs or the Sean Hannitys of the world, but yeah, somewhat, yeah.
By artificiality. Or is that even a word? Artificiality? What? Everything around us is fake. A guy in the woods pouring his heart out over his guitar is real. And so this is also another cringe part that I didn't mention earlier in my analysis of the song. But essentially, sort of this pushing of this song by these conservatives is an attempt to co-opt this sort of populist message. Populism in general is cringe, like let's be honest. But
kind of ironic coming from the populist leftist. Although I'll admit I can agree that populism is a cringe, but for different reasons than what Progressive Voice believes. Like I'm not for completely bucking the will of the people or whatever, but at the same time, I don't think that political beliefs and political principles and so forth should be completely swayed by what's popular, aka what stands generally around the belief of populism, or the at least the attitude around populism, that it's always for the people. Like I don't know, say that the majority of people wanted a rise in the minimum wage. I'd still be against that, and we should all, as libertarians especially. But yeah, I would even like it if some other people like converted to be anti-minimum wage as well.
these people are not like Matt Walsh, and these people are not populist in any way. They're just trying to co-opt
Agreed. But anyway,
the populism movement to make themselves look populist. Like Donald Trump was never a populist.
oh, excuse me. But there can be still overlap with the beliefs. I mean, it was generally populist what freaking Oliver was singing right there in his song. But there was nothing that was really anti-conservative. There is the one line actually where Oliver says that politicians ought to look out for minors and not just minors on an island somewhere. Like obviously, talking about that line that politicians should be looking after minors on an island somewhere, aka should be looking more into the Jeffrey Epstein case and releasing the client list, and just well, I mean, in a perfect world, we would have some kind of government or apparatus or some way of like cracking down completely on child trafficking. But regardless of whether that's actually turns out to be the case with politicians or government officials or otherwise, but regardless, and the other part of that line, looking out for minors, referring to coal miners specifically, I mean, politicians. I'm I've been like speaking against Sahil's criticism of how that coal miners, supposedly have this poor me attitude about how their sector of the economy is dying, and I go saying that there is some reasoning as to there is a little bit of a legitimacy why they have that victimhood mentality, and it's because that politicians are putting forth legislation to cripple that sector of the economy. I mean, on the one hand, yes, politicians should not be putting forth legislation to actively cripple any sector of the economy, but at the same time, should not be doing anything to actively prop them up over other sectors of the economy. I don't believe that the government should like be subsidizing coal or anything otherwise. Um, that little principle right there, depending on what kind of conservative you are, you may or may not agree with that idea. I mean, let's be honest, there are more and more conservatives, especially with the rise of Trump, that have become more and more populist, populist centrist, populist center right, or whatever you want to say, when it comes to the issue of coal miners and protecting all these different sectors of the economy. Wanted to put forth tariffs to make it more expensive for businesses to be moving there. Um, to be moving jobs overseas or whatever else have you. Um, but at the same time, should that really be the case? Is that really still always the case? I don't know. I mean, I think that there were some conservatives that disagree with that part of that song. But anyway, I've kind of lost my train of thought a bit, so we're just going to continue.
He just co-opted the movement for his own personal gain. These conservatives are trying to simultaneously support tax cuts and the wealthy and wars overseas, etc., while also holding this, fake populist message. Because if you can kind of bifurcate a little bit and benefit from both sides, it can benefit you, right? Especially because populism took a big turn really since the roots of kind of our modern populism movement really.
To be fair, populism can um emphasis on can, at least in theory, like okay, as far as tax cuts go, tax cuts can fall under populism if you are like cutting taxes for everybody in every way and not just for rich people. Like if it of course there are like populist leftists who think that that's not true populism. True populism is when you like raise taxes on the wealthy, lower it for the poors, and increase welfare for the poors, etc., etc. But there is a way for populism to like work in tandem with that, to a certain extent, anyways.
Do stem from that Occupy Wall Street movement. After the '08 crash, that was really like the sort of big jumping point of this populist movement. And then, you have Bernie and Trump on the opposite sides, kind of both running with the movement. Bernie,
The only populism PV has is soda pop. Yep. Coal industry has been dying for 130 years, and it is suicidal to remain in that industry. Sure, maybe people should eventually evolve out, but via natural free market means, anyways. Although I don't think S-Man disagrees with that. I don't know, autistically felt like adding that disclaimer for him.
obviously being a real populist, Trump being a fake one. Um, but it's really gained its popularity. And so this guy who's part of MAGA, he's calling it out. He's like, dude, like this is not a real thing. You guys just took this and tried to make it look like it's real, but it's not. And so if I were like a legit dude, I'd be pissed You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, this isn't even real. And so then this Dan Bongos guy goes crazy. Says Jason works with me. Jason is a great guy. Texted me last week, blown away by the emotion in Oliver's song. Jason wanted to help. He flew from California to NC to help Oliver get the message out. Yes, that's what he does. Uses digital platforms to spread the word, mine included. This moron below doesn't have a clue about what happened. Imbeciles like this person below are what decimate our movement.
Wait, what? Like this? I did not notice this until now. So he reads the statement, imbeciles like this fucker below. Instead, he says like this person below. It's like, wait, when? Since when did Progressive Voice have something against cursing in his videos? I don't get that. Didn't he curse like a little bit earlier in this video? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not paying attention that well. Maybe Progressive Voice really is like trying to be a shit talker while it's also not technically cussing out somebody at the same time. But I don't know. This is funny. I mean, I especially find it funny when like one of his earliest videos that he ever uploaded and that I ever watched, he called people stupid fucks for thinking that Ted Cruz won against Bernie Sanders in that one debate back in 2017. Acting like, if you disagree, if you disagree with me on who won, then you're a stupid fuck. Yeah, the fucking punk ass asshole.
They open their big mouths about Scheisse. They have no idea about.
Wait, what? Maybe he does have an anti-cussing principle now. I don't know why. I should not be finding this funny. I mean, I especially don't find it funny. I don't know. I don't laugh this so hard when I see a conservative like trying to bleep out curse words, but to see Sahil of all people trying to bleep out cuss words is just even funnier to me for some reason, because basically that's what the Sahil is. He's like bargain bin secular talk. And if any of y'all know Kyle Kalinske of secular talk, you know that guy consistently always says curse words, lots of F-bombs, all of it. So this is just funny.
While sitting on their fat asses criticizing the doers. F this guy. So this guy is just obviously, he's just raging, just tons and tons of ad hominems being levied towards him in lieu of an actual argument that he has. And he's essentially just really restating what the other guy said in a more couched way to pretend like it's not, industry plant kind of behavior. But even like Baby Keem, right? Like he lied and said that, his rise in
industry plant. Okay. I don't even think that there has ever been the belief that Oliver Anthony is like completely 100% self-made, that he did not find like a publisher to help promote his song or anything else, have you? But to say that he's like a completely illegitimate, that's the main thing that is like that is being talked about. You know what? I don't even think that there has been any solid evidence that was brought forth in any of the screen caps. Well, tweets actually that he has been reading that goes saying that Oliver Anthony is completely disingenuous. He does not actually believe in the stuff that he is singing. He just wants popularity is all. I mean, that would be like the main thing to fake plant. Maybe I'm like misunderstanding what an actual plant is. But just I would think that for somebody to be a plant, it'd have to be like somebody that is like along the lines of a grifter or whatever. And again, by according to Short Fat Otaku and his research, watch the video and especially go watching like the last few minutes of it, find out that the guy is pretty legit.
Into the music industry started from, he sent a beat pack to like the Black Panther album submission. There was like some submission allowed where, you could send in a beat pack, and he sent it. It's like, oh no, he's Kendrick's cousin, you know what I mean, or nephew or cousin. I think he's his cousin, right? So it's just like everybody in this always has industry ties. Anybody you can look up, they all have industry ties. This guy is no different, and it's important to note this because the sort of general ethos of the song is very much so, it's a raw, rugged, old town, like steel miner, coal miner type of dude.
He goes mocking that. You know why that Sahil goes mocking that? I think it's because he has had no experience of like actual hard work in his life. He thinks that it's like too hard and too scary for him to even want to first try it, so therefore he doesn't even get the honestly the good feeling fulfillment that you get of a legitimate hard day's work. That's the only way that I can like make out of this as to why that is.
Just went viral because it's so real and it just struck the hearts of the many of the real populist movement. And it's like, nah, dog, that ain't real, homie. Like that's not the case. So it is important to point this out. And again, this is a MAGA dude exposing this. And I would be pissed too if I were like a real populist dude. I'd be like, what the fuck is this shit, man? Like you're just taking some fake stuff and pushing it and co-opting our movement. Dude, what the hell, man? Like I'd be like, screw you too. But yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. And let me know your thoughts on the song down below and all this stuff.
Yeah, pretty bad. The worst part of it was him trying to say that is a freaking like plant. That was the main thing about that video. Get Belle Delphine's ugly face out of my screen. Anyway, on to the next video. Progressive voice. Now you go and listen to that whole video. He goes absolutely talking shit on Oliver Anthony and talking shit about the sentiments that Oliver speaks and all the sentiments that other people like overlap with Oliver and Anthony on when it comes to like blue collar attitudes and similar kind of stuff like that. And now watch Sahil completely. Well, actually, he's gonna completely flip his opinion in this video. But first, I'm gonna read some freaking live chats. I wonder what will happen if Donald J. Trump gets convicted. I don't know if he will, but still. S-Man also says PV has never had masculine energy in his life. Probably not. That's probably why he's still baby-faced. Anyway.
All right, so this is pretty crazy. So it appears that the artist, the singer of the song Richmond, North of Richmond, the recent absolute hit, smash hit, has actually come out actually condemning the GOP for what he believes is essentially stealing his song. Check this out.
It's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me like I'm one of them.
Okay. So this is the more interesting part as to why that I'm doing this live stream, and that I think that I don't see very many other people talking about. On the right primarily, and really Progressive Voice is like the first leftist that I seen like go talking about how or revealing even how Oliver Anthony is not as right wing as people within the Republican Party thought he was. But regardless, I wanted to like go talking about this and offer my own take because this is a bit of news to me, and it should be a bit of news to y'all as well for anyone who is like newly watching this. Oliver Anthony, like I already said, is not as right leaning as everybody thought he originally was. In fact, I mean, sure, that's one thing. But what gets me and bugs me more about this is that it's like if Oliver Anthony is like intentionally blindfolding his eyes and plugging his ears to the idea of him having like any overlap to people on the right and within the Republican Party. I mean, that is the main reason as to why that Republicans like gone chanting his song, gone praising his song. I mean, might be off base somewhat, but by the raw, okay, they might have misunderstood some things. They might have even been misunderstanding the exact intent of the singer himself, Oliver Anthony, right here. But the raw words themselves, like the idea of your dollar ain't shit, obvious inflation messaging right there. And that's what a lot of Republicans, like, especially like us common registered Republicans go talking about a lot of time is, oh, this inflation sucks. And that's what one of the lines of his songs was. Oh, this inflation sucks. And I don't know. It's just weird, the attitude that Oliver has here. Like, anyway, I'll explain more here in a bit.
it's aggravating seeing certain musicians and politicians act like we're buddies and act like we're fighting the same struggle here, like that we're trying to present the same message.
I can and like I was about to say, I can understand somewhat the idea of somebody acting like that we are allies or something. Has anybody else ever run across those memes on Facebook or social media in general of where that people are go saying, "Oh, all of us within the United States, all of us common folk here, we're not really against each other. We don't really disagree with each other on that much stuff. It's only because of the media and politicians why we all disagree with each other." And I just thinking to myself, no, that's bullshit. That's got to be bullshit. Like, there's okay, sure, yeah, that helps aggravate some of that a little bit, aggravate some of the division. But are we going to really pretend that all the disagreement, or that even the majority of the disagreement that average Joes have with each other, is just because other people are selling these different narratives? Are you really going to tell me that the fact that I am anti-looting, anti-rioting, and the fact that some hipster in mid-city San Francisco is pro-looting, you're gonna say that like that's not legitimate? That one of us does not legitimately believe what we believe? And also, who is the illegitimate person in their beliefs and really doesn't hold the beliefs that they say they do, but is in fact being gaslit into their beliefs by the media and politicians? Like, yeah, I get the idea. Maybe not quite along the same lines, exact same lines as Oliver, but still kind of a similar idea. I do get frustrated when people try to say that, oh, I am really just on the same side as some average Joe leftist that's about the same strata of the economy as me, that, oh, we two really are not that much different. We two really do actually get along and are actually have the same beliefs. It's only because of the media why it looks like that way. But no, there's like truly some legitimate disagreements that we have with each other. Like, have any of you guys seen those memes of where it talks about there's a jar full of 50 red ants and 50 black ants? They go all peacefully getting along with each other, but when somebody like picks it up and shakes around the jar, then the ants all start eating each other. Then it becomes like black ant versus red ant. And that's essentially the media trying to shake up the people within the states. Yeah, I get annoyed at those types of things. But again, at the same time, I get the general sentiment that Oliver is speaking here, but at the same time, he goes acting like there is no overlap between himself and people on the right. And that's what really bugs me here.
You know, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've tried to be polite to everybody, and I've talked to hundreds of people the last 2 weeks.
I mean, try to be polite. You know what? I would like to see some of those exchanges of where that he tried to be polite, but he ended up being impolite, or the other person was just, I don't know. I'd like to see how that conversation played out, about who he was trying to say, oh, we're actually not alike. And the other guy was saying, well, no, your words say otherwise. We are actually in agreement.
It seems like certain people want to just ride the attention of this song to maybe make them their own selves relevant, and that's aggravating as hell. The other thing that I find aggravating is, well, you know,
that's a fair point. I mean, I think that the Republican debate stage, the first GOP presidential primary debate, was trying to make itself, give itself a little bit more views by playing your song, because your song, quite frankly, I think it's safe to say, Oliver Anthony, Richmond, north of Richmond, got a few more eyeballs and ears, quite frankly, on it than the first GOP presidential debate. It kind of did not help with the fact that Donald Trump refused to show his pussy ass up on stage there to debate the other people that were on stage there. I mean, if Trump was on there, let's be honest, it would have gotten more views. But because the world is what it is, Oliver Anthony's song got way more views, and that first debate was trying to sap off of his popularity to make themselves to make that debate a little bit more watchworthy.
Like, it was funny seeing my song in the. It was fun. It was funny seeing it at the presidential debate, because it's like I wrote that song about those people, you know. So for them to have to sit there and listen to that.
Well, here's the thing. Ramaswamy hasn't had a chance to like increase any government spending at all because he's not a politician yet. So, how is this song applicable to? How is your song applicable to him specifically? It's my question.
That cracks me up. But it was funny kind of seeing the response to it. Like, that song has nothing to do with Joe Biden, you know?
Nothing to do with Joe Biden, huh? Again, emphasis on the line, your dollar ain't shit, referring to inflation. Like, yeah, sure, a lot of that inflation you can pin on Trump. I do it all the time. Trust me, I do. But a lot of it is pinned on Biden as well. So, be it your intention or not, Mr. Anthony, that song, it ended up having Biden apply to it as well. So, yeah, like I said, Oliver, he just doesn't seem to know what the absolute coherent, logical implication of his own words were in that song.
It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden.
Is it a lot bigger? No, I mean, okay. I think maybe that Trump has spent more than Biden has. I mean, to be fair, on the one hand, Trump has like had his 4 full years like play all the way through, and we haven't seen all of Biden's 4 years play out. Maybe at this rate, even as soon as 2024 is done, maybe at the end of it, Biden will still not be quite up there as Trump is as far as spending goes. I will say, though, that if Biden completely had his way as far as his plans go, he probably would have been a bigger spender than Trump. That's the thing that kind of annoys me about the whole spending debate. Like, yeah, Republican presidents, generally speaking, end up being bigger spenders than Democrat presidents. But if Democrats had completely their way on everything, the spending would be they would be, in fact, bigger spenders than Republicans, just objectively speaking, if they had their way on everything. Green New Deal, Bernie Sanders, single-payer health care, even Joe Biden's watered-down Green New Deal thing that he tried to pass, all of that, yeah, bigger time spenders. Now, intentions do not translate to actual tangible inflation. So the fact that Biden still wasn't able to like get through everything he wanted as far as spending, that means that his stuff did not affect inflation in a tangible way as much. But I don't know. All the same.
That song is written about the people on that stage, and a lot more too, not just them, but definitely them.
And here's another funny thing. Like, okay, all those people on that stage. Does Ramaswamy actually live north of Richmond? He's definitely not like worked inside DC as a politician or anything yet, anyways, and probably never as well. I mean, let's be honest. Well, he's still very young, and if the country still like has many more decades to live on before like a nuclear apocalyptic warfare or China taking over or whatever else scenario that you want to think up of, or I don't know, every single Trump voter gets arrested, whatever extreme circumstance you want to think of where that there will not be a United States for anybody to be president of, or otherwise, if we survive a few more decades, he's still pretty young. He might eventually, become a DC politician. But aside from him, I don't think Chris Christie. No, he hasn't been a DC. He was like a governor in New Jersey. Asa Hutchinson. Asa Hutchinson and Doug Burgum, were them two ever DC politicians? Or were they just governors of their appropriate states? I don't know. I mean, if we're talking about the city north of Richmond, that being Washington, D.C., because that is the main city that everybody goes thinking about when they hear the song Richmond, north of Richmond, is the people who work in D.C. Now, obviously, there are more cities north of Richmond that rich people work at. There's like Baltimore, Pennsylvania, New York. I mean, Donald Trump used to live in New York, but now he lives in Florida. Ron DeSantis, he used to be a U.S. House representative, so he would have worked in D.C., but now he's a governor of Florida. Nikki Haley, she was once a UN ambassador, so that would have been in New York. She was also like a governor in South Carolina, I believe it is. Yeah, South Carolina. I mean, I don't know. There's just a whole lot of ambiguity, a whole lot of ambiguous territory to think about of who that he might have been referring to. I mean, wish you'd like go into it a whole lot more. Sure, a lot of those people. Ron DeSantis was a bigger what am I trying to say? How am I going to start on this point? I'm getting tongue-tied here. Maybe I should just play the video here for a bit. Or actually, I'm going to like read up in the live chat. God. This man speaks says Republican primary will be interesting next year. Oh, yes. Well, I don't know. That is if DeSantis can like make headway in Iowa and New Hampshire. Otherwise, it's not going to be too interesting. It's just going to be like a boring massacre of Trump just winning every single primary. Biden had his way, he would have had it. If Biden had his way, he would probably be at $50 trillion of debt. Yep. Burgum was only been a governor. Okay, yeah. So if he's trying to like if he was trying to like refer to those people up on that stage, he kind of failed with his with the logical implications of his words. It's like if Oliver needs to like rethink his lyrics again or need to take English again. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like insult the guy. Like, I'm sure that he's like a smart enough guy for him to be like a constructive construction salesman and all that stuff. But regardless, like it's like the guy needs to like think of a political argumentation a whole lot better than he actually does. Because here's the thing, freaking Burgum, like S-Man helped out in the live chat, he was not a DC politician. So how could the song apply to him or Ramaswamy for that matter? Freaking North Dakota or South Dakota, whatever it was, that's not just simply north of Richmond. That's like way northwest of Richmond. And if he's trying to say that anywhere north of Richmond, like not even just directly north of Richmond, he's talking about politicians in that sort of way. Well, then that even widens the freaking categorization of who he's talking about even more. And it's just a really messy classification. If he's trying to like reach out to like everybody from like Maine all the way to Washington and who he's talking about, then that just makes the impact of the lyrics and the meaning of the words north of Richmond all the more worthless. It's like, sure, Oliver, mention of how that you're frustrated of how that people are trying to like 100% align themselves belief-wise with you, even though they actually don't align with you 100% of the time belief-wise. Sure, espouse that. But the way that you handled that video right there was just really devalued the meaning of your song. Asa was a representative and DEA guy, and Christie was a federal prosecutor. You know, I have a feeling, S-Man, you're probably searching up on Wikipedia, aren't you, for these little factoids? I probably should do that myself, actually. Not that I haven't done it myself on occasionally, like I did with Haley when I was live reacting to the first debate. Haley was in South Carolina. Yeah, that's what I thought.
So this is one of the more bizarre stories of recent time, because
Yeah, a bizarre story that you helped fan the flames on as far as a hatred towards Oliver Anthony on. A rather smear campaign by unjustly saying he was a plant when really he turns out to be a more legitimate guy than you originally thought. And now you're eating your own words, aren't you, jackass?
I had even made a video a couple of days ago that ended up getting raided by some of his fans. But basically, I'd made it.
Yeah, because you tried to say that he was not, in fact, not a salt of the earth guy that really is illegit. That he does not actually legitimately believe in the stuff that he sings. That he was just a plant,
Video talking about how it appears that this was like manufactured by big tech, like big conservative tech, and so there was some evidence that he had basically been an industry plant as opposed to being
some rather baseless quote unquote evidence. Apparently you were just looking at some coincidental type of shit that was not concrete for the claim and narrative that you were trying to push, but you were trying to push it that way, and it kind of backfired on you.
a genuine smash hit, which is really important, especially because of sort of
Is that
the ethos of this song was essentially
holy fuck? I'm sorry. This might be a little bit ad hom territory, and I know that I don't have much room to speak. It's been a while since I've shaved myself, but I think this guy has just a legitimate neck beard. Like, he doesn't even have as much of a chin strap as I do on my facial hair. Just looks like that it just completely skipped the jawline and just is completely and only underneath his chin and on his neck. His facial hair. Like, good lord, Sahil, get yourself a razor.
this populist anthem that every populist can come around, etc.
If you look closely, it's just really not. It does not look good. Like I know that I'm not a lady, and I know that I'm not the type of person that Sahil is like going after or whatever. But just saying unbiasedly, this is not a good look, Sahil. You need to get yourself more well kempt than this.
Etc. And it appears that he's now coming out actually against sort of the right wing as a whole, and he's basically saying that they're co-opting his song for their own personal purposes.
Well, he should have honestly, he should have better proofwritten his song to make sure. I don't know. You know what? He did not even say that he was going against the right as a whole. Listening to the entirety of that video as we just did, he was just going after the people on that stage, as he put it in his words, and he was trying to downplay any criticism towards Biden, even though that part is completely wrong. I don't know, I don't even think that's what he was trying to say or intending to try to do it all, is going after the right as a whole. But if I was to believe you completely 100% Sahil on that statement that he's going after the right as a whole, then Oliver Anthony needs to proofwrite his own shit a lot better to make sure that none of it has anything to overlap with the right on as far as beliefs go. But that, honestly, now I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent right now. Honestly, there is no real possible way for you to come out as a sane person and make sure that you have absolutely no overlap with your political opposition. You would have to have the most absolute retarded mental hospital, seeing a shrink 24/7 straight jacket, mental mentality of a derangement syndrome in order to have that kind of attitude, to make sure that you are never overlapping with anyone on anything, belief wise, not overlapping with your opposition at all on anything. But I'm pretty sure that that doesn't completely apply to Oliver Anthony with what I said there. I'm not trying to say that Oliver has like some kind of right-wing derangement syndrome. That's kind of what Progressive Voice is trying to frame him as. I don't believe him on that at all, but just especially when it comes to this song. But it's just like, I don't know. There's just a whole lot of wrong to cover in this video, especially on Sahil's part, but a bit on Oliver's part too.
And he had actually gotten into some trouble as well. These are just some, he had made a comment saying that, we are like a melting pot of the world.
Oh, good Lord. This Twitter account that Sahil highlights has melting pot in triple parentheses. They're trying to gaslight melting pot into being some kind of Jewish term. What the fuck? This is ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just gonna let Sahil finish off what he was about to say about this.
Then like we need to embrace that, as opposed to being against that kind of thing and making that a weakness. Instead, let's make that our strength. So you can see some of these. This is just straight up, like that's just straight up, like just straight up anti-Semitic stuff with the parentheses. We're a melting pot of the world that's to make stronger diversity. Such a letdown. Did he sell out already to the Richmond North of Richmond?
No, and to not arguing against Sahil, I'm actually arguing against the people who are being a bunch of overly sensitive pricks about Oliver's words right there. The melting pot of the world is not some kind of postmodernist woke leftist term out there, folks. Does anybody not remember like the good old days of the 90s, 2000s, and early 2010s of when that I use the word mainstream kind of loosely here because these people were not referred to mainstream, at least back in their day anyways. Mainstream conservative talk show hosts like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and especially Mark Levin use the term melting pot, that the United States is the melting pot, or at least should be the melting pot of the world, and of how that we take in people from all over the world and we make them a part of our culture, or we make them adapt to our culture. I mean, I will say specifically, I remember specifically Mark Levin. Like a side note, I don't like Mark Levin near as much as I used to. I mean, I made a whole video talking about that a few years back. Go watch that if you want to hear my thoughts on that. But regardless, Mark Levin, somebody who's like pretty solidly conservative and on the right, goes using the word melting pot as a positive, but kind of uses it in a way that maybe differently from leftists. He says the U.S. should be a melting pot, or at least we used to be the melting pot of the world, and that we like it take all these people from these different cultures, we take them in and we make them part of our culture, make them adapt to our culture, etc. Like as far as like the Constitution and adopting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, all that other typical American stuff. And that's really how we should be, is that when you migrate into the United States, you learn to love and accept the culture of the United States in regards of primarily the Constitution and also the language too, for that matter. That's not to say that he was against the idea of you taking in some of your culture and like mixing it in as well in the way of food and music and clothing and stuff like that. I mean, you'd have to be like a real extreme xenophobe, practically a racist, actually, for you to like actually think that that is an issue. Oh, the Mexican is like bringing tacos into my country and making them a popular dish in America. Wah, wah, wah. Or something like that. And in that talk, Mark Levin goes saying instead we're becoming more like vegetable soup. to say in a way that the immigrants that we are taking in are not really adapting to our culture, not really embracing the U.S. Constitution and all that other stuff, at least not in the way that used to anyways. But anyway, the point being, melting pot is not a negative term, has not always been a negative term for the right. And the fact that there are these people that are like right wingers that are saying that, oh, a person using melting pot, oh, leftist woke term, blah, blah, blah. Oh, a Zionist conspiracy, Jewish conspiracy theory. It's like, it's stupid. You guys don't even. We need to like take the language back to the good old days on some things. Melting pot being one of them.
So it's like literally we're to the point now where there's like conservatives are literally getting angry at someone saying that we're a melting pot, the melting pot of the world. Is like diversity is our strength. So it's interesting.
I'm gonna take a pause break here. Whoa. What is going on here? S-Man Speak says, I'll do it, Mr. Merchant. Wait, what? Is Mr. Merchant in the live chat? Is there more people in the live chat than just S-Man right now? For some reason, I'm only seeing S-Man's live chats right now. Why is that? What's going on here? I'm only seeing S-Man. Huh. Oh, Bergam is in North Dakota. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't help that when I go listen to like Ranting Monkey and his co-host Jack, when they go talking about Doug Bergam and how they think that he's one of the better debaters on the debate stage. It's quite a pity that Doug Bergam wasn't able to advance on the debate stage, wasn't able to advance in the primaries, but people the likes of Nikki Haley and Chris Christie were able to. I think we can all agree that the debates would increase in IQ points if it would keep Doug Bergam on, but would get rid of Nikki Haley and Chris Christie. Okay. Mr. Merchant says, I don't know how you don't see my previous message. I will copy and paste it, and there'll be a see it, Darkon. Do you see it now, Darkon? No, I don't see the message. I don't see the main message that you're trying to say to S-Man. I saw those other two messages that are directed to me, but wonder what's up with that. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying it doesn't help that Ranting Monkey and Jack, when they go talking about Doug Bergam, they act like they don't care of which Dakota it is that Doug is governor of, because of the fact that it's one of the Dakotas. Well, now I think about it, it would have to be North Dakota, because South Dakota, I believe I more prominently am able to like remember Kristi Noem was actually governor of for the last few years, especially during the lockdowns.
The way that he's come out at this point, but obviously it's crazy that he's actually coming out against the conservatives. He's also, if you go to his Twitter page, he basically said that he's not like a political guy, like he's not a political dude, like his music is not outright political.
Was he ever a political guy? Wait, his music is not outright political?
A political dude, like his music is not outright political, and he actually had said that.
Well, okay, every music artist can have their overall catalog not being a political songs, but they have that one song that is more explicitly political. What is a good example? Actually, all the artists that I am able to think of right now are either 100% political or 100% non-political. I guess a good example would have to be Styx, STYX. They have like two political songs or vaguely political songs, Sweet Madam Blue and Miss America, whereas the rest of their songs are like just typical like love ballady type of stuff. Well, Snowblind, the song Snowblind by Styx is a song singing against the usage of cocaine more than anything. Take that as you will and whether you think it's political or not, but regardless, yeah, I mean, it would be like Oliver Anthony saying that he's not a political guy. His music isn't political. It's like Dennis DeYoung, the former lead of Styx, saying that his music was not political, despite the fact that he had a couple of songs that were kind of that way. And by the same token, Oliver Anthony has one political song out of a whole catalog of non-political songs. I don't know. I'm overthinking and overspeaking on that talking point.
The minors comment he had made, which is an obvious reference to Jeffrey Epstein, was actually talking about Trump. I don't know if it was exclusively talking about Trump, but he definitely said it at least was talking about Trump at least, and maybe in addition more to that.
Okay, so talking about Trump, well, you gotta like actually show where you're getting that evidence from. Like, funny that I say that, but ironically enough, I'm going to be referencing back a ranting monkey episode where he was like reacting to a or responding to a Tucker. No. Actually, no, it wasn't ranting monkey. It was Sitch and Adam. Sitch and Adam were like reacting to and responding to a clip of an interview of Tucker Carlson interviewing Donald Trump. But I don't know. Let me say two things, two kind of separate things. One, Sahil, I kind of would like to see the source on what you're saying right there about how that Oliver Anthony was explicitly referring to Trump. Like, I don't totally disbelieve that, but I find it kind of unhelpful that you don't actually show even the tweet right in front of us on your screen share right here. And two, I mean, there is the fact that in that interview with Donald Trump that Tucker Carlson did with Donald Trump, as I was referencing to, and Adam and Sitch were kind of theorizing on this. The subject of Jeffrey Epstein got brought up by Tucker Carlson to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump kind of felt uncomfortable, or he just looked and sounded kind of uncomfortable when talking about it. He even went along with the elitist narrative that Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself. He wasn't like hardcore believing that Jeffrey Epstein, in fact, did kill himself, but he wasn't saying anything that, you know, every normal person in the country seems to be saying, that Jeffrey Epstein, in fact, did not kill himself. No, he believed pretty much that Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself. And Tucker Carlson was saying that he did not kill himself. And Sitch and Adam were theorizing, is it possible that maybe Trump had more to do with Jeffrey Epstein than he let on? Like, I do vaguely remember this reading the stories and snippets and whatnot of how that Donald Trump tried to like back off of Jeffrey Epstein, any relation and defense. As soon as it came out that the guy was like a child trafficker, who was a kid diddler, but makes one go wondering: did Trump actually have more to do with Epstein and Epstein's Island than he actually leads on to? I mean, in all fairness, I don't rule out that possibility myself, but
But it seems, I guess, he's just genuinely not political. And so it definitely adds a lot. I'm a little bit ambivalent on what's kind of going on here because I respect his sort of coming out and doing this, because if this were like, this is an easy cash grab moment to just become like a cash cow for the right wing, make tons of money, get super popular, he could just completely go on that. And so I have to give him a lot of credit for assuming he's being honest here.
And what if he did like continue doing songs that were kind of in favor of the right? I mean, I would find it a little bit cringy and suspect if he was like 100% in line with the typical Republican narrative and everything. But what if he did like continue doing songs that were placating the right? Are you really going to automatically assume that, oh, it's illegitimate? The guy doesn't actually believe in what he says. He's just grifting or whatever. Like, you'll hear in a little bit. Sahil goes saying that he could have pulled a Dave Rubin. Or maybe he did actually already say it. But Sahil saying that, oh, he could have pulled a Dave Rubin. So he went from one opinion that, oh, God, fuck. He went from one belief saying that Oliver
Richmond, it's by
Anthony
this guy
is trash, is a plant, and now he's all like, oh no, he seems pretty legit. But if he did continue on with what Sahil originally thought was the actual narrative around Oliver, he would have continued thinking that he was completely illegitimate. I get tired of these types of leftists who go thinking that there's no way that a person like truly believes in all this quote unquote right wing nonsense. It's just all a grift.
for sort of coming out and being like, okay, like I'm not this right wing guy. I'm not going to just associate with this, because he could have definitely done like a Dave Rubin or whatever, where it's like, hey, it's a lot of
Side note, by the way, I am fully convinced that Dave Rubin specifically does not believe what he actually says he believes. Mostly because of other podcasts that I listen to. I think it was like Sitch and Adam. Yeah, it was Sitch and Adam podcast. They go talking about they go talking with I believe it was Rags. Actually, I cannot remember who exactly their source was as to how that they believed that Dave Rubin is in fact a fraud. I think it might be rooting all the way back to Blair White, actually, because everyone knows of how that Blair White was once cozy in bed with Con Inc. Now she's just doing her own thing of speaking out against some of the extreme elements of LGBT activism in her own way, not necessarily in a way aligning with Steven Crowder or anyone else within Con Inc. But regardless, she was once in bed with Con Inc. And now she kind of came out to exposing some people as being just fakes. There's a bit of an implication that one of the people that she might have been referring to was Steven Crowder. And I think Dave Rubin was one of those people as well. A person that does not actually believe what he purports to believe. He's just in it for the money. But I don't know that for absolute 1 or 10% certainty, but it seems to be kind of likely.
money, notoriety, not notoriety, it's the wrong word, but popularity that you could use and just to get money. And so there's a lot of respect in that, him basically coming out and saying that I'm not that.
Mr. Merchant says, must be YouTube censoring the words, but basically, I think you should do a response to a YouTuber who goes by the name Liberal Hive Mind, because I see any oh, you don't see any responses to him. Oh, Liberal Hive Mind. Oh, yeah, I checked out some videos from that guy. He's kind of yeah, I don't know. He's pretty much a Trumpist. He doesn't have much substance in his videos. I don't know if there's anything of his that I find worth responding to, because it's, well, low in substance. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but maybe send me a link on Discord, Merchant, Mr. Merchant, of videos to video ideas to respond to of Liberal Hive Mind.
And he's saying, and I'm also trying to decode what exactly he's saying here, because in the video he's really saying, he says it straight up that the song was about the people on the Republican debate stage, and he says it's not,
which that's kind of murky, because two of those people would not have been in a city that was north of Richmond. So if he was trying to save people on the debate stage. It doesn't make complete sense. It does not really make much sense.
About Biden, but he's saying it's bigger than Biden. So I'm thinking, I guess he's kind of trying to come from a perspective of just like a sort of everyday, like minor perspective, like that very specific, like white working class.
Yeah, that was the point from the very get-go, regardless if it was from a specifically right-wing perspective or a more centrist perspective. I mean, but because it was possibly from a right-wing perspective, it must have not been a legitimate, I'm coming at this from a working class perspective. Working class and right-wing can never be legit. And yet here I am, a poor-ass, working class, blue-collar welder, relatively poor guy with an only 800 subscriber YouTube channel, speaking in favor for free market capitalism and speaking against democratic policies that hurt the economy, and speaking, well, against tax raises in general, and speaking against all these big spending policies too, just all this sort of stuff. Speaking in favor for the morals of Richmond, north of Richmond, essentially. Aside from politicians having to specifically, explicitly look out for coal miners.
Kind of person, like Rust Belt person, but not like outright political. Or it seems that, you see, if I were like a legitimate person who was like some kind of, making a song about, or like a representative of the movement or part of sort of this kind of group of people who was like these, miners, like someone like that, and then big conservative tech tried coming in and just trying to co-opt me for my message and my movement and all that stuff, I would be pissed too. In fact, the person who came out saying that this
Oh, well, of course you would be pissed because you completely are unaligned with conservatives. I mean, let's see. Actually, I'm trying to think of an equivalent example. I mean, yeah, of course. You're not some blue collar guy who is sympathetic towards different energy sectors of the economy. And so, of course, you would not want a conservative who is also like standing for different energy sectors of the economy, aka the coal mining and coal plant industry. So, of course, you would not want to take up that job. But honestly, if I was in Oliver Anthony's shoes, I would try to take up as many of the money deals as I could, as long as it did not explicitly go against my principles. And honestly, he did get promoted by a big guy to help boost up his song, as was like shown in even Sahil's last video.
was fake, that I had reported on, was someone who was in the MAGA camp, because it's just like, okay, dude, it was so, the rise of it was so obviously fake. It obviously wasn't actually legitimate or organic. And then
Wasn't legitimate or organic. What was he supposed? I mean, what is like the full catalog of songs from Oliver Anthony? Let me like look up this right here very quickly. God, if I search up Oliver Anthony, am I going to be able to see? Oh, he's only 31 years old. He's only 2 years older than me. Well, I guess that should be expected. Okay, so more songs that he has released. He's only been posting songs since 2021, at least by my cursory research here on Google and Wikipedia. So he hasn't been a singer for that long. I mean, what do you mean? Like, was he supposed to like I mean, what is he supposed to do, Sahil? Is he really supposed to like grind from like I don't know, sell like only 10,000 labels or even 1,000 copies of his album for like the first few years of his life and then he works his way up to 10,000 and then 100,000 and then 1 million sales in under a year's time. He cannot go from 10,000 all the way up to 1 million. I mean, what the heck are we talking about here? I mean, music people get those kinds of rockets and get all those kinds of rocket and popularity all the time, and we don't go bitching about them before. I don't know. The way that he is like classifying of how that this is inorganic, it just seems to devolve the meaning and the really it just demeans the value of saying it is inorganic. That's what I'm trying to say. It devalues the meaning of the word. Let me put it that way.
You know, it just kind of comes out. All this stuff is starting to come out, and so this is definitely one of the more bizarre stories. I said ambivalence because he just sent. Yeah, I saw a tweet from him saying that no one ever thinks about the coal miners. Like, dude, all anybody ever thinks about is the coal miners.
Is he really? Did he really did he really post that? I would really like to see the tweet if he really did post that. If he really did post that, then he really does not know anything about what was going on the debate stage, the Republican debate stage. It's like if he just only saw the very bare beginning of it, where that they did go talking about his song, and then nothing else after that. Because if he did listen to the entirety of the debate, at least he would have realized that Vivek Ramaswamy is one of the most vocal proponents of for coal on those debate stages, especially the first two debates. Like the way that he wants to promote coal might not be a way that I advocate for. Vivek might be a little bit more pro-subsidy, pro-bailout for that industry, which obviously everyone knows, goes without saying, I'm against. But regardless, yeah, Oliver does not know what he's talking about if Sahil is in fact being truthful, but it's Sahil, so I take it with a heaping healthy serving of salt. Come on.
Absolutely. And entire presidential campaigns are literally dedicated to pandering to the Rust Belts. And I think it's time we kind of nip that in the bud, where it's like this weird white victim complex where it's like, oh man, these jobs that not only destroy the environment, they also destroy your body and health and are horrible jobs for you.
Okay. Horrible jobs for you. Okay. I don't get this, honestly. This is like the main thing that I want to talk about right here is this bashing that he goes on against blue collar workers and really primarily coal miners. But it's one thing for if he was to go on his whole leftist beliefs about how XYZ sector of the economy is bad for the environment. But for him to pull up a bit of reasoning as to why that he's against coal mining is because it's bad for you, little Joe Smith. It's bad for you. We're going to prevent you from working this job because it is bad for your body. What the fuck kind of mentality are we promoting right here? Does anybody remember my response video to Hassan Piker a couple of years back, responding to him in regards of vaccines? Does anybody remember the logic that Hassan Piker was bringing forth right then? Hassan Piker was all the government knows what's best for you, and so therefore the government should be taking care of you if you are. I can't remember exact lines, but he was saying that the government should take care of you if you do not know how to take care of yourself, referring primarily to vaccines, but just a lot of other stuff too. Seatbelt laws and just hard hats. There was some other issues that he mentioned as well, but just that I believe is completely disingenuous. Why that Hassan goes promoting that mentality that the government knows what's best for you, so therefore they should impede and intrude on your life. Why is Progressive Voice doing that? I honestly believe that it's because that he does not. I don't know. let me tell you why that those of us, us, I say us because it makes me go wondering what other kind of jobs does he want to ban because it is bad for people's bodies. Like there are plenty of jobs that men, but also women as well in some cases, but primarily men go taking up because it pays well. But it's also rather taxing physically on us as well. Welding. Everyone knows I'm a welder. I went to trade school for it, and currently, right now, I am working a job that incorporates more welding and just metalworking in general. Pretty taxing. I'm probably gonna end up with who knows, bad knees, bad hips, bad back when I get up there in years. Of course, I'm trying to do all that I can to sort of mitigate that sort of stuff. But other welders, they got pretty bad crippled bodies themselves as well. More than carpentry and woodworking jobs, anyways. Like, are you going to start banning welding, Sahil? Because, it is bad for your body, Zach Edwards. And I just dox my full name. But whatever. Point still stands. Like, fuck that shit. You want to know why that we take up these types of jobs? Is because, one, yeah, it pays well. Actually, that's the biggest reason why. Is because it pays well. I actually look up to see how much that coal mining job pays. Coal miner salary. 40 to 72K per year. I mean, I currently work a job that gets me I'd be lucky if it got me 40K a year. But it's probably like closer to 35K a year. I mean, I don't work an actual manufacturing job. I'm a yard help, more specifically. So I do more than just welding. If I was to get an actual manufacturing job, I'd probably more solidly. But anyway, talking about incomes probably a little bit too extensively. But yeah, 72K for a coal miner job. Let's see. Welder salary. Is talking about 35K to 56K per year. You know, for the sake of it, let's go comparing this to like a cashier salary. Cashier salary. Okay, so it's not really giving me like a per year breakdown. It's giving me more a per hour breakdown, but still, the hours were less for this. The hours for my last search right there for a welder. Let's go back very quickly. 15 to 30, whereas for cashier is like 11 to 17. So yeah, welding and coal mining is like good paying money. Also, it's more fulfilling. Believe it or not, Sahil, there are those of us that get a legit sense of fulfillment and emotional satisfaction out of an actual hard day's work. And yes, I will solidly say that working a metalworking job or manufacturing job or coal mining job or anything else like that is a harder working job than unloading a truck, stocking a shelf, and working the cash register and cleaning rooms and so forth. I will proudly assert that. But, I mean, regardless, even if you are to say that that is hard work, I mean, it's not to say that it's easy work. I will say that cashier job has its own downsides as far as like a hard work goes. It's a different kind of a hard work from a welding job, but I still say that welder is like noticeably harder than a cashier job. But regardless, even if we were to say that they are supposedly like just as hard a work, there's like different works for different type of people. I know that I could not work a desk job. I could not see myself working a desk job, not getting any kind of sufficient satisfaction out of it. I want to work more with my hands. I want to work more exposed to the cool different kinds of cool machinery, working more outdoors and et cetera, et cetera. Heavy lifting type of stuff instead of being a paper pusher or whatever. Like, believe it or not, Sahil, not all of us are satisfied being a mid-city barista, part-time barista at a coffee shop with a podcast that pays a little bit of money on the side. Some of us want more than that. Some of us want to be a full-time welder, full-time coal miner, full-time airplane manufacturer, full-time car mechanic, something else like that is more taxing to our bodies. And for you to like pull forth this logic of, oh, it's bad for your bodies. It's like you can go fuck yourself with that pussy ass attitude right there. And to kind of circle back to what I was alluding to a little bit earlier, like why is it that Sahil Habibi is like this way, of where that he says, oh, this is a this is like a job that breaks your body, it's bad for your body, blah 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 blah. It's like I almost go thinking with a person like Hassan Piker that I mentioned earlier, why he would have this government takes care of you kind of, should take care of you kind of attitude. Well, actually, he wasn't like down playing like blue collar jobs. He was down playing people who like refused to take the vaccine. But regardless, with Hassan, I could believe it being like more disingenuous. Sahil, I honestly think he's kind of jealous. I think that I mean, just look at the guy. I mean, not to get too ad hominem, really. I mean, earlier it was getting, well, kind of ad hominem-ish when I was like pointing out his bad fucking facial hair. But this isn't even getting into ad hominem territory. I really think that he's jealous because look at him. He does not look that good a shape. So he knows that he could not work a some kind of grueling blue collar job in a factory or out on an oil field or a construction job or anything else like that. Or maybe he can, just he chooses not to because of the fact that he thinks that, oh, it's hard work, or oh, it's bad for my body, blah 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 blah. So that's why I go like editing videos, hoping to become a full-time YouTuber or whatever. But I don't know. Then again, maybe that is part of the reason as to why that he's on hiatus currently, is because of he's getting himself an actual job right now. And when I say actual job, I'm meaning like not to downplay people that are able to successfully make it as a full-time like political commentator and make a decent living off of it. No, I'm this talking point is more specific to Sahil Habibi. Like this gig that he's been known for right now is not a real job for him. Does not pay the bills or anything. Maybe he's out there to get a real job that pays him decently. Anyway,
You should work a different job, and that's how everybody else has to live their life. But I guess if you're white, it's like the economy, you don't adapt to the economy adapts to you, depending upon what you're.
okay. The whole thing of you should find yourself a new job. I'm going to tie that to his talking point about how, oh, this job is bad for your body. Well, you aren't one to determine that. I don't want to find a new job. I want to put I want to do this physically taxing job because I want to make more of that money as opposed to working a barista job or something else like that. But also, he goes talking the race baiting talking point about white people, blah blah blah. Let me actually
Campaigns are literally dedicated to pandering to
I rewound it a bit, by the way.
the Rust Belts, and I think it's time we kind of nip that in the bud, where it's like this weird white victim complex, where it's like, oh man,
You know what? It's not just a weird white victim complex. There are like brown and black welders and coal miners and otherwise too, you douchebag.
these jobs that not only destroy the environment, they also destroy your body and health and are horrible jobs for you. You should work a different job, and that's how everybody else has to.
How about fuck off? I don't want to find a new job. You should find a new job. Says who? You're not anyone's mommy or daddy. At least I don't think he is anyone's dad. I mean, he definitely no. I doubt that. I highly doubt that Sahil is a dad. If he is, then that is the most virgin-looking dad I'd ever seen in my life.
live their life. But I guess if you're white, it's like,
By the way, I am a virgin too myself, folks. But the point still stands. He's not any of these coal miners' dads. You are not the arbiter of their lives.
the economy, you don't adapt to the economy adapts to you depending upon what your skin color is. And so if you're
Oh god, this is just weird. Even when it comes to like systemic racism debates, nobody is like, no. Okay, the economy adapts to you. So again, the whole thing with coal mining, I hate the fact that he goes discounting that there are like any minorities at all that work in like steel working jobs or coal mining jobs or anything else that is like physically taxing or quote unquote destroys your body. And so therefore, the fact that there are people like Vivek Ramaswamy and others who are all like, oh, we need to prop up the coal miner, that would in hand also prop up the minority people in those sectors of the economy. But to tie it more to the whole systemic racism debate, as he's trying to falsely equivocate it to, what kind of work the economy around it? Are you talking about reparations? He probably is referring to the whole reparations debate, like thinking that it's a hypocrisy on Republicans and conservatives' part to be all like, the government should not be crippling the coal sector of the economy, therefore putting coal miners out of work. But at the same time, say that no, we should not provide reparations. Those are not hypocritical. Those can work cohesively with each other. You want to know why? Because they both require a lack of action on the government. You don't give any reparations, that's no government action. You don't put forth any legislation to cripple the coal economy, that also entails the government not doing anything. So, yeah, objectively not hypocritical.
you're black and you're moving to, change jobs to work in the Great Migration, for example, coming up north from the South, white people are going to run away and you're going to be penalized, right? That's why we have, our urban suburban divide now. It comes from the Great Migration and white flight, right? And so it's this weird thing. And so I find
You're talking about like people moving out and so forth. Okay, so that brings another layer to this conversation actually, and I wish I remembered this part a little bit better. Okay, so if they're like white people, oh god. For one, he is like totally race baiting in a rather baseless way, and I just find it absolutely frustrating and kind of disgusting, actually. Um, and also, he's not being very clear on what he's trying to say, so it's kind of hard to like scrounge up a response to everything that he's trying to say here. Maybe I should just keep on playing because I'm going so late, anyways, and I don't have much to respond to. But I don't know. If those here's the thing, if those white if that quote unquote white flight is happening because of the government like penalizing some business that used to been in that area where the white people are flighting quote unquote from, then obviously conservatives are against that government action that penalized that business that caused white people to fly out of that area. So, no disagreement there. Stop assuming that there is.
that to be cringe, but I heavily respect him in this situation in terms of him just kind of coming out and being like, hey, like,
I'm sure there's more that I could say in response to that white flight stupidity talking point that he pulled out of his ass there, but I'm just moving on.
This is not what I'm standing for. This is a genuine thing because he definitely could have very easily just sort of jumped on it and just been this sort of easy sort of Dave Rubin like shark or something like that. And so I'm very surprised about this. And I guess he's saying, the only thing outside of the kind of cringiness of like the weird like coal miner thing, whatever.
Cringy, quote unquote. To you, anything and everything right wing related is a cringy, Sahil? The only thing that is cringy is you. And also me whenever I'm struggling to like gather my train of thought fully correctly. Anyway, Mr. Merchant says that, yeah, him and his screaming friend, referring to the Hassan Piker video that I responded to. Yep, that was one of my best videos in recent history. Mr. Merchant says free markets actually benefit workers, something I wish both advocates and opponents could understand that. Workers can become entrepreneurs if the state didn't tax and regulate every little thing. Yep. That's one thing that Sahil ain't really thinking about or considering, but we don't really have time to fully tackle on. Shrapnel says, I don't trust a single population when I talk about left, right-wing politics. I usually mean politicians. Gotcha. Damn it. I really need to get myself a new mouse because this clicker ain't working.
The like cringy victim complex thing was like there was the comments about the welfare people or whatever, and I guess supposedly that's supposed to be a comment talking about like rich people, maybe the sort of over.
You guess, huh? So it sounds like it's completely a theory that you're just pulling straight out of your ass. Because Oliver Anthony was clearly a right-winger earlier when I did my last video. And he was talking about, and he had this fat people paying fudge rounds with welfare line. That means that he was talking about people on welfare being lazy. That's complete, utter, made-up nonsense. But now, because I know that he is like more centrist or even leftist than I thought he was, then that must mean that when he had that fat people on welfare line, he was actually referring to rich business owners. What a partisan dweeb this guy is. Your theory just holds no water there, Sahil, to put it nicely. But really, I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt that Oliver was trying to actually say that. I highly doubt that your theory was correct regardless. If there is any water to your theory, then you need to provide more evidence to get me to believe it at all. But whoever is saying that, the actual words that he wrote in that song do not say that. It does not heavily enough imply in the least bit that he's referring to business owners of any kind or politicians or whatever. He's referring more to lazy average Joes who are like, I'm just going to try and live off of welfare for the rest of my life. I'm going to try to avoid jobs as much as I can. I'm getting engaged next year, says S-Man. Congratulations, S-Man. Everybody in the live chat. W's for S-Man. W's for S-Man in the live chat for him getting engaged.
Overweight people getting the fudge thing or whatever was sort of a metaphor for the overweight people, maybe literally or figuratively or both, being sort of like these wealthy people who are like, overweight on a lot of money and who are abusing welfare for their, personal tax cuts, etc. Maybe that's what it was. I don't really know. Outside of that comment, I don't even know, even if you're a progressive, I don't know, outside of a general ethos, I don't know what you really could have objected to in the song. And so the song itself wasn't really problematic, but it did end up being.
Well, what the fuck was with your whole spiel in your last video? Partisan hack.
In case it did at least appear so, at least according to a lot of the evidence that we saw, that this song, its rise was inorganic and it was essentially fake. But a very bizarre situation, and yeah, I don't know. Very, very weird one. I don't know if we've ever seen a situation like this before. He's kind of trying to triangulate here and rise above politics, it seems. And I give him credit because he's going to lose basically all of his fan base. He has basically nothing now, I would say, in terms of like, yeah, obviously there will be something a little bit right now, but once that hype dies down, it's going to be a wrap for him. And he definitely could have easily gone the Dave Rubin route,
Blah, blah,
but he
blah,
decided
blah,
not
blah.
to. So I definitely give him credit for that. But let me know your thoughts on this whole situation because this whole thing is just completely insane.
My thoughts are his song was good, and I truly believe that his song overlaps a lot with the conservative / libertarian values, and more so than Oliver Anthony wants to admit or realize, even because I don't know, he's just a little bit too squeamish at the idea of conservatives like endorsing him or something. I do not know what the fuck the deal is there on that front. But regardless, yeah. I don't know how this live chat did not end up on my live chat here. Mr. Merchant says, hope it goes well for S-Man when he gets married because I don't want him to suffer in divorce court if things go south for him. Yep, indeed. So that's the end of the videos. Finally, I probably took a lot longer than I should have. I can get quite rambly with these things. Oh, maybe I should make more of an effort to have a co-host on with me to like keep my train of thought going. 2.5 hours. We are going over 2.5 hours right now. She's quite libertarian. So she's not insufferable leftist. She's also pro-life. That is awesome, S-Man. I'm glad to hear that. I can only hope that I run across the same type of woman myself. But anyway, what am I doing? I don't need to look at my phone for this. I can just pull us up right here on the side, from the side here. Cool. But I don't know why. Wait. Oh. Okay, so the Mr. Who 616 live chat comments, even though I could not see them in my YouTube browser there, I can see them here on the side in my StreamYard. Zhu Dong. Wait, what? His name is Zhu Xiao Dong. There's a Mad Lady video about him. Don't you mean Mad Lad? Mad Lad video about him on Dankula. Oh. Yeah, I think I understand why this guy like tried to retract his messages off of here because yeah, Mad Dog, that's the guy of the name, or excuse me, the name of the guy, the nickname of him anyways. A lot of karate masters in China nicknamed him Mad Dog because he attacks like a mad dog, and he just decided to self-own up to it very proudly, and good for him on that. But yeah, that had nothing really to do with the live stream here, so maybe that's why he took it down. And on that video, on things more relating to this live stream, I'm definitely going to have to upload a highlight clip or something of this live stream. Actually, I think I'm just going to clip out the one part of where that I respond to his point about how he thinks that coal mining job just destroys your body. Bring forth that bit of pussy ass logic as to why that maybe coal mining should be banned. Like, it's one thing. It is totally one thing for like a leftist to be all like, I want coal mining banned because it's bad for the economy. But to take this absolutely sissy nanny state government approach to say the government knows better knows what's good for you better than you do, say we're going to prevent you from working these types of jobs that degenerate your health, even though that you consent to it for a big fat paycheck. No, we're going to prevent that from you. It's like, fuck off. God. Reading these two live chat comments that got shadow banned from my YouTube live chat, though. United States of Israel, they control us. They control both Republicans and Democrats. own us. Saying any more about their people and you don't have a job. Wait, saying any more about their people. Grammatically incorrect sentence right there. Saying any. No, never mind. It's not grammatically incorrect. Actually, saying any more about their people and you don't have a job anymore. Taxpayers giving 3.8 billion. Well, okay. I don't care what conspiracy theories I want to put out there. Hamas should not have attacked Israel, regardless. And by the way, that's not even to say anything about Netanyahu. I listened to this one episode of Sitch and Adam where they were reviewing this podcast and talking to this one girl as well. They're talking about the political history of Bibi Netanyahu, and yeah, my opinion about him is definitely more jaded. Actually, even more negative for that matter about him than before Netanyahu. Netanyahu himself is pretty corrupt. He might even be wanting the war to go on longer just so that he can stay in power. But regardless, Hamas ain't helping things when they go actively attacking Israel. 10-7 should not have happened. Period. Joe Biden got paid $4.3 million from the Israel lobby. Sure, but that doesn't reframe my belief on the conflict itself. And I've had this belief for a while, regardless, that the U.S. should not be giving money to Israel, anyways. Should not be giving a foreign aid to any country at all. I mean, if a person wants to give out the argument that maybe we should give humanitarian aid to some I don't know, backwater community in I don't know, let's say Kenya or some other third world country, for example, where that people are literally thirsting and starving to death. But Israel, I on the one hand hear this one narrative of how that they are a powerful powerhouse of a nation. But on the other hand, I go seeing that we are giving foreign aid to them. It's is that really necessary? If they are really such a self-sufficient powerhouse of a nation, I don't get it. There seems to be just a little bit of cognitive dissonance with that thinking. One of these things does not belong with the other. You will find the one man. I know you will. No, S-Man, I'm not gay. I mean, I've already found plenty of men who are libertarian, but there is just one problem there of me marrying those men, is that I'm not into dudes. If no one else noticed the typo that S-Man did there, well, that's what I was poking fun at. Is the next response video on a leftist, rightist, or other? Okay. As far as actual edited response videos go, my next edited response video is going to be in response to Khadija Mabo on cuties, because I want to get that out of the way sooner rather than later, because tackling that topic is just going to be not fun. And I believe that there is some relevancy to be had with responding to that video, because because of the controversy in regards of Sound of Freedom. Everyone has heard of Sound of Freedom, right? The one Jim Caviezel, Angel Studios movie that is anti-human trafficking, anti-child trafficking, and leftists are freaking out about it because, it does not it's not the, I don't know why exactly. Actually, part of the reasoning as to why that it does not talk about human trafficking in the exact way that they want to. Does not mention the type of human trafficking that they want to. So therefore, it's a bad movie. Some of them just go talking about, there's some people that just say outright that it's a non-issue, that human trafficking is a non-issue. It's are you intentionally trying to give cover to pedos and human traffickers, you fucks? Like that was literally what the one Rolling Stone magazine article writer that I responded to when I first got off of my hiatus said, is that it's a non-issue. It's like, fuck you, you fucking asshole. But with the rise of the Sound of Freedom video, I thought that Cutie's kind of relating to a similar issue. It would be like a legitimate enough time for me to like respond to somebody on that issue. Also, B, this person is purported to be the smartest Cuties defender. If I make a response video to this person, that means that I made a response video to all of them, right? And even then, this person really is not that smart. I guess you could technically classify Khadija. Well, actually, no, I'm not even going to say where on the political spectrum she is, because I do not know where exactly all her beliefs lie, aside from the fact that she's making a defense for Cuties. Dang it. I have a lot to say about it, or I might do a speech or discussion about it. Okay. This man speaks as I meant you finding the one woman, you dork. Yeah, I know that you meant that, but I could not help but exploit the typo. Net and Yahoo. Yeah. Internet and Yahoo. Can you Yahoo? The above is a joke / pun. Yep. I gotcha. Anyway, my voice is hoarse right now. It's getting way too late right now. And I think I'm going to relax for the rest of the night with some spiked eggnog and watching some holiday movies. This is probably going to be the last bit that any of you see of me until after Christmas. So, well, I don't know. Maybe, nah, I won't do. I most likely won't do another live stream anytime in between now and Christmas. So, in that case, oh, okay, another a person from the good old days. Good to see you still at it, old friend. Hello, Mjolnir Man. Well, thank you. Hope you're doing well as well. I guess you migrated completely away from your YouTube channel. More power to you. I still think that there's some vitality to have with my YouTube channel personally. It's just I need to like do a video that really sucks in the algorithm, which that's another reason as to why I'm making a response video to the supposed smartest Cuties defender out there, is because it's Cuties. Obviously, that subject is going to get to me some views. So, me being a clout chaser, yes, and hey, bro, yeah. Dark Khan's videos are XXX. The ones he is leaving to watch. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, got distracted there catching that Mjolnir Man said hi in the chat. Nice to see you there, Mjolnir Man. But anyway, hope you all have a Merry Christmas and happy whatever else holidays that you celebrate. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take out of here now. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, good night, God bless, take care.